Today, sports790.com.
Yo, what's up, y'all? This is Common right here, and you are now in tune with Sports Rap Live right here on Sports Talk 790 AM, iHeartRadio. Y'all stay in tune with it. All right? Love.
It's all love here from the West Coast, 451 North Fairfax. Diamond Lifers in the building, and they're holding it down there in Houston at Junction Bar and Grill, 160 West Gray, in the shadow of downtown Houston. And we just got into the rap sheet a little bit. We got people up to speed on what's going on in the NBA. Andrew, any other stories NBA related as we move to the top of the hour that you want to get into?
Not particularly as far as the NBA. We really haven't heard anything as far as the draft. We're going to start to hear a lot more about the workouts the players are going to go through and whatnot, with teams inviting different guys to come to them. And we'll hear a lot of rumors about who teams are high on. I think the only thing we know right now is that the number one pick is going to be Anthony Davis to the formerly Charlotte, but to the New Orleans Hornets. But anything other than that is probably just speculation at this point. That's about all I've heard.
Okay, well, shout out to Mo Bob, who got his first Slam magazine cover with the number one pick, Anthony Davis.
That's pretty awesome.
Report.
Wow, big ups.
At Reese Report, Mo Bob, Rat Pack Mo Bob. You hear him on the show occasionally covering NBA basketball. Speaking of which, it's probably about time to get him on as we get ready for the NBA Finals here, kind of recap the playoffs and look forward to what we're going to be seeing in the finals. But again, you can follow him at Reese Report and pick up the latest copy of Slam magazine, which features his first cover article.
Yeah, on Anthony Davis, bounce at the brow.
Two other notes I wanted to drop in there was we had a report this weekend that Phil Jackson is out of talk to be the Magic's new coach. And the other one was, it was a sad note, I think it was on Friday, was that Orlando Woolridge died over the weekend.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, former NBA player.
Wow. What a sad weekend.
52 years old, too.
He coached the Sparks, I believe, didn't he? No, that was Michael Cooper. But I think Woolridge did play out here.
He did. He played for the Lakers for a little bit. I think he also played for many, many teams over his NBA career. It was 13 seasons long, but 52 years old, he died over the weekend.
Yeah, that's sad. That's sad.
And did you also hear today that, what's his name, former host of Family Feud died today?
Richard Dawson?
Richard Dawson. Yeah, he died today.
Survey says?
Survey says in the ground.
Oh. Wow.
R.I.P. I think Steve Harvey hosts that now, doesn't he?
You know who I think should host that is our boy Matt Thomas. I ran into him on Friday, and that his dream is to be a game show host. I would love to see Matt Thomas host, definitely a game show, but Family Feud in particular. That's one of my favorite shows.
We need to do some kind of game show with all the guys there. That would be fun at the station. There's a lot of personalities. You guys know Lance Zierlein, of course, with Matt and Adam in the mornings. You got Cook and Kalu, two former NFL players who have great midday talk on.
Have you heard Uncle Greg?
NFL.
Adam, by the way, I don't mean to cut you off, but have you heard Uncle Greg on their show?
I heard that through the break.
That guy has some stories.
Yeah, he does. He might have some issues as well. I'm not too sure.
Yes.
Because we're all here sitting in the diamond store like, what the hell is that?
He liked to ride around and get it back in his day.
I guess so, man. If you see him now, he's a silver fox. So
yes, he is.
Hey, shout out to Mrs. Rapp and Franny Rapp. Franny Rapp had another softball tournament over the weekend. Advanced pretty far, but, in the end, there's some really good teams out there in the suburbs of Houston. So they went out there, the BGSA Breeze went out there and played their little booties off, and so I wanted to send a shout out to them. They're listening. It says it sounds good. It says like we're all at the table together, and it feels like we are, right? We got sneakers here. We got the camera there. It's on, man. We're doing it here. Well, Andrew, hey, while we get to the top of the hour, let's talk a little bit about the draft coming up in Major League Baseball.
Sure,
I want to hear. I want you to jump right to that and hear, because it's pretty exciting. The Astros have the number one pick. Now, we don't think of the baseball draft as something that's similar to the NFL draft, where it's hyped and it's days long, televised event, or even the NBA draft, where you have the lottery, you have the the whole hype leading up to the first pick. So let's talk a little bit about the Major League Baseball draft.
Well, the draft, it's 40 rounds. It used to be 50 in the past, and it'll start tomorrow night. I think it gets underway 6 p.m. Central, our time. There's a little preview draft show. I'm sure that'll be on ESPN, and they'll have one on MLB Network as well, and they'll break down all the picks. But the Astros have the number one pick, and there's been a lot of changes that have happened to the draft this year, and that, teams can't just before there's always like a slot recommendation of, if you sign this player, there's for that slotted pick, there's a certain amount of money that's supposed to be allotted to that. And really, it was like the MLB wanted, the owners and the GMs to follow their recommendations. Some teams did, and probably to their detriment. Most teams just said to hell with the MLB and just signed whatever kid they wanted and for however much money they wanted. But now there's going to be some actual penalties that are going to go into effect. That if you sign a kid for too much money, then you're going to be penalized, pretty heavily, and it's going to affect the amount of money you have, and it's going to go into your, I guess, free agency money that you have to sign other players. So this is the first year that we're going to have those rules, and the Astros have the second most amount of money, so that's a good sign for them that they really don't have any restrictions as to what players they should or have to sign.
That's great to hear. But you know what? We saw former first-round draft pick Mike Trout come through for the Angels.
He came through for the Angels. Just like that power outage came through.
Yeah, probably
over out there in Fairfax.
Well, it's interesting that we talk about Mike Trout is because, he was a 17-year-old kid when he got drafted in the first round, and everyone was kind of, I don't want to say down on him, but he definitely didn't get drafted where he should have been, and he should have been the number one player in that draft, and he's kind of showing now why. There's a 17-year-old kid in this draft, and that's Carlos Correa, who is, I think he's a 17-year-old kid out of, I have to find the right country it is, but he's out of Latin America. But he's a shortstop that could definitely be someone that's in the mix with Astros' number one pick. I'm hearing that it's not going to be him. The rumor today was from Jim Bowden. He kind of tweeted out there and said that there are reports that the Astros are going to take Mark Appel, who is the Stanford pitcher. He's kind of a big guy. He's got the 215 weight. He's like the 6 foot plus pitcher. He's got that build where he doesn't look like he's going to break down. Probably be fast tracked all the way straight to the majors. And the other guy that's kind of rumored in there is Byron Buxton, who is a high school outfielder from the state of Georgia. It's kind of hard to compare these kids when they're young prospects like this because, the competition for a high school kid is different for that of, from a kid who's at Stanford who's pitching, in an actual collegiate level versus someone who's pitching in Latin America. So It's really tough to compare the three. I personally would like to see them take Carlos Correa just because a kid who's 17 years old that is this already sort of an elite prospect that's put himself amongst the group of these other guys, I want that kind of higher upside. And I want the guy that can play shortstop for my team. That's probably the most important position on the field is someone who's going to lead your defense, be your sort of defensive leader amongst all those guys, and he's probably going to be able to carry his bat, for his position. So I would much rather have him versus a pitcher who are much more riskier as far as, just in general, or an outfielder as well.
Right. Especially, it gives you a chance with such a young player with such elite caliber, to mold him into what your system is. Now, when the Astros, if they do decide to go with the shortstop and they put him through the system, to me, it's all kind of foreign, to be honest. The whole draft is different than, you say, the NBA or the NFL. They go through the whole system. How do they do that? Do they develop them in the minors and then they bring them through? Or, what would be the best route? Because a kid that's 17, has anybody ever just jumped straight onto the field at that age and just done well?
Really, no. That's why what makes a guy like Bryce Harper so special is that, you realize him and guys of his type to get on the field this early in their career, it's pretty special. So he's definitely going to, whoever we take, is going to have to spend a significant amount of time in the minors. I think if you guys saw a guy like Correa, even if we got a guy like, Buxton or Appel, they're going to have to spend at least, probably for Correa some time in rookie ball to kind of get his feet underneath himself and get acquainted to America and spend some time in an actual professional league of in America. But after that, I think all these guys will have to spend at least 3 years in the minors before they would make it up to the majors. That's the other thing about the MLB draft is you don't really draft. You don't look at the Astros roster and say, you know what, their shortstop isn't very good, they should draft a shortstop. You kind of just say, who is the best player available? Let's get that guy. Because it's not like the NFL where you need a quarterback, so you draft a quarterback.
Go for a quarterback.
Or the NBA where you say, hey, you know what, we need a big man with size, a big man that can shoot, or a big man, and you draft one. The MLB draft is much more about getting as many players. It's pretty much just a crapshoot, and it's just throwing darts out there, and you just hope that with the many picks as you have, that you can get a guy that's going to stick and land on your team. If the Astros have, out of the 40 rounds, if they have 3-4 kids that make it to the majors on this draft, that's a great draft.
Then that's a good draft for them.
Yeah, that's a great draft. It's mostly because there's just so many kids out there, and the failure rate for almost all of them is just so intensely high. There was an article today from Brian McTaggart, I think, on MLB.com, talking about the last time the Astros had the number one pick. They took Phil Nevin, and they could have had Jeter. And, the team has kind of looked back and, at what could have been if they had gotten Jeter and what, just how valuable that number one pick is. You hope you don't have that number one pick, that often, because it means you probably had the worst record in baseball the year before. But it's a really big thing for the Astros. I'm looking forward to watching all the draft coverage. whoever they get is going to be probably, highly touted. I've heard that this draft class is probably one of the weakest draft classes they've had in quite a few years. It's not, the number one this year isn't a Bryce Harper. It's not a Strasburg. It's, even the guys, the top 3 guys this year, the Correa, the Mark Appel, and the Byron Buxton, supposedly these guys would be probably back end of the first of the top 10 if they were even in last year's draft. So, it's not the best draft in the world, but the Astros will definitely try and take advantage of that and pick the best guy available.
Well, Andrew, if they would have taken Jeter over Phil Nevin, you wouldn't be looking for a shortstop at the number 1 pick this year. That's for sure.
Well, hey, I guarantee you that even if the Yankees had the number 1 pick, they might be taking a shortstop considering how good this Correa kid is, So just because you have a good one now doesn't mean he'll be there forever.
You slightly answered my question, but I was going to ask you, what is the percentage rate of guys that actually make it to the big leagues and have a serviceable career that get drafted in the first round in Major League Baseball?
I could look it up. I'll probably have to post that on the blog, and I can show you the percentages. But it's basically, if you're not a first-round talent, it goes down pretty steep from there. Like, if you're not even a top 10 kid, it's pretty... The failure rate for any kid that goes into the minors to make it to the bigs is just such a huge number. It just seems like baseball is the toughest sport to play, mostly because just look at the sheer number of kids who try and play it, even in the minors. Very, 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 very few of them make it, much less succeed in the majors.
Yeah, well, that's a crapshoot. But these guys, some of these guys spend their careers on minor league buses. They never get the call up, but they continue to work and work hard in the minors and see if they can get that big call up.
I agree.
Some kids are like Bryce Harper, and you go straight to the big leagues when you're 19.
No, there are no kids like Bryce Harper. It's pretty much him and Mike Trout, and that's about it. As far as kids that can go basically from playing at a lower level, a high school level or a college level, and then just come straight in and fly straight through the minor league system, the sort of the amateur process, or not the amateur process, but the minor league process to becoming stars at the major league level.
Andrew, it's so funny because in your tenure on Sports Rap Live, which is coming up on 2 years here pretty quick, the kid's been drafted, flew to the minors, and is now a young budding superstar in Major League Baseball.
Who's that?
Bryce Harper.
Oh yeah, I agree. It's been pretty crazy because I remember even when Bryce Harper was in high school and he was sort of going on these different tours across America and just doing these different all-star things. And when he went to, I think it was Tropicana at the Tampa Bay Devil Rays or the Tampa Bay Rays stadium, he was hitting home runs there that were the farthest home runs that anyone had ever hit. I mean, this is a kid who was hitting them as a 17-year-old even. So, I mean, that kid is just a unique, freakish talent in himself.
Well, now he's got a wood bat. He's still yoking them.
I agree.
Well, hey, Andrew, man, I'm all fired up. We're keeping our eye on the Diamond right here at Diamond 451 North Fairfax in West Hollywood, California. And, of course, our guys are holding it down at Junction Bar and Grill in Houston, Texas right now. You can hear them right here in the shop if you come by. And you can tune in if you're on your way down the street on iHeartRadio, iHeart.com, or locally there in Houston on Sports Talk 790 AM. And catch the podcast. SportsRapLive.com. The guy's got the videos going right now, man. I see pictures already coming up on Instagram.
Yeah, Terrence is also going to get the audio podcast up after the show, so it'll be on the Sports790.com website for your listening pleasure tomorrow morning.
I'll be tweeting that out on the plane tomorrow morning as I head back to H-Town. And I can't wait to get back to H-Town, man. You know what? We come out here and we get it in a little bit on the weekend. We network. We do what we do. We're spreading the Sports Rap Live vibes everywhere we go. And, hey, we still got special guests coming by tonight. We're getting to the top of the hour. It's only 6 o'clock right here on the West Coast. Normally people are tuning in to Sports Rap Live right about now. I know my man Yusuf, after he closes the shop down here, likes to tune in to Sports Rap Live and see what's going on. So, hey, guys, let's go to the top of the hour. Terrence is going to take it, and we'll bring back that intro. Hey, California, Buku 1, right here on Sports Rap Live.